India's two biggest app-based aggregator cab services, Uber and Ola, have decided to suspend their ride-sharing option, Uber Pool and Ola Share, in the light of the rising cases of COVID-19 in the country. We are determined to help reduce the spread of coronavirus in the cities we serve. With that in mind, we are suspending the Uber Pool service across India. In line with the government advisory, we urge people to stay safe and discourage non-essential travel, a Uber spokesperson said. Ola has also temporarily suspended its Ola Share category until further notice. The health and safety of our driver partners and customers are of utmost importance, and we have taken several steps in this regard to ensure the highest levels of hygiene are maintained in the vehicles on the platform. The temporary suspension of Ola Share services is an attempt to encourage social distancing for all cases of essential travel for citizens, a statement of the company read. It added that they will continue to provide essential travel through their other offerings. On account of Janata curfew on Sunday, Uber has said it would offer services to meet essential requirements but urged people to observe the curfew. In line with the government's advisory, we urge riders to observe the Janata curfew on Sunday, March 22. However, we will offer services to meet the essential and urgent travel needs of the communities we serve, the company spokesperson said. Women protesters in Shaheen Bagh on Friday said they will continue their sit-in against the amended citizenship law on Sunday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has urged people to remain indoors on March 22 as part of a people's curfew to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. The women have been blocking a side of a road connecting southeast Delhi to Noida since mid-December to protest against the Citizenship Amendment Act. Also read, Dissent in Times of Coronavirus, NCPCR seeks report on Shaheen Bagh protest. On Monday, the Delhi government had banned the gathering of over 50 people in light of the outbreak. The size of the gatherings has since been reduced to 20 people. It also applies to Shaheen Bagh, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal had said. On Friday, the protesters said that not more than 50 women were sitting on the site at any given time. Also read, COVID-19, Chennai's protests in Old Washermanpet temporarily suspended as precautionary measure. On Sunday, we will sit under small tents. Only 2 women will sit under each tent and maintain a distance of 1 meter between them, a protester said. Another protester, Rizwana, said the women had been taking every precaution and they were covered in burqa all the time. Washing hands regularly is part of our lifestyle. We offer namaz 5 times a day and we wash our hands every time, she added. Ritu Kushik, another protester, said women aged above 70 and children less than 10 years old were not being allowed at the protest site. The women are not sitting on mattresses anymore. Cots have been brought in and there is a minimum distance of 3 meters between every 2 cots. No more than 2 women can sit on 1 cot, he said. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his address to the nation on March 19 on the coronavirus pandemic, rightly focused on what people should do in what is fast turning into a crisis situation. But there was very little by way of reassurance to the people about what the government was doing, or planning to do, to mitigate the developing crisis. Battling maladies of various kinds all the time, a large segment of the population has developed a detrimental fatalism, against which Mr. Modi had spoken earlier. That complacency has been evident in the social response to the creeping affliction, a nonchalance bordering on irresponsibility. Large gatherings of people at private, state and religious events have continued well after the nature of the disease became clear. The Prime Minister's call for a lockdown on March 22 could prepare the country for stiffer measures if and when the situation so demands. The Prime Minister also held a conference call with Chief Ministers on March 20. To the extent that it communicated a sense of urgency and emergency, the Prime Minister's address was timely. But beyond that it did not achieve much. The states are at the forefront of the fight against the virus, and their capacity is frustratingly uneven across the country. Marshalling all resources available, and launching a complete spectrum defense against the virus is the need of the hour. There are measures that the governments, at the center and the state levels, have been taking. For those who expected to hear some reassuring words from the Prime Minister on this, the address was a tad disappointing. The most effective weapon in the fight against the coronavirus, evidence so far suggests, is social distancing. This requires people to disrupt their lives and livelihoods. The Prime Minister emphatically urged people to keep themselves at home, but did not adequately put them at ease on the looming questions of economic insecurity. There is a task force chaired by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, and an early announcement of measures that will alleviate the economic pain will go a long way in seeing the populace through these tough times. It is one thing to instill a collective purpose among the people to meet a common challenge, and quite another to do what the governments are supposed to do, and communicate that. While Mr. Modi's address was very forceful on the first, instead of explaining the government's plans to deal with the crisis, he exhorted people to clap for the frontline responders against the coronavirus, who are doing a splendid job, at a particular time. In most parts of the world, this threat to humanity has prompted leaders to put political differences aside, and opposing sides have joined hands. It will be a tragedy if India cannot do the same. To this end, the opposition should play a more constructive role, and the government must send out a message that it is taking control of the situation.